Hi, I'm gonna go over a list of misunderstandings that I've dealt with or still deal with that involve being an INTP. Um, maybe other types will understand what I'm talking about too, but I think it will especially apply to INTPs. So the first thing is the idea that INTPs don't do anything. I have people telling me I'm lazy. Like specifically my sister right now, and probably my mom at some point, but the truth is, I am doing something, but it's in my head where no one can see it. Like, INTPs spend a lot of time daydreaming and thinking, and to us, we're doing something, like, we're putting energy towards a specific task, but it's not a task that other people can see or will know about unless they understand us in that way. And people who are constantly doing things, they don't spend as much time thinking as we do. So, there's pros and cons to both sides of this, but, everyone's just lazy, just in different ways, is what I'm saying. So, the next one is, that we are critical and mean to other people. And the truth is, when we're critical or critiquing, and that's what I was looking for, but when we're critiquing other people, or at least for me, I don't do it because I want to hurt someone's feelings. I do it because I want to, it's kind of my way of showing affection without being affectionate, I guess. But it's just, we want to help, or at least I do. I want to help other people become better at whatever it is, and I can't really do that very well, I guess, because my initial instinct is to give them ways that they could have done better. And I also put effort towards, going over what they did well, but I also think it's really important, maybe more important, to go over the things that they could improve on. And when I say this, I don't say it as in, I think you're so stupid you're never going to figure this out. It's more so that I think they're smart enough to learn this thing, and I'm just trying to help them get there as best I can, because I care about them and whether or not they improve. So, yeah. Also the assumption that we like to argue, and I guess some arguments are good and enjoyable, but a lot of times they aren't. And the truth behind this is that we, or at least for me, I don't want to argue necessarily. It's less about arguing with someone, more about wanting to find a conclusion between me and another person, like having consistency between us and closure, I guess. But even if I don't argue with someone about something we disagree about, I will probably still be arguing with them just in my head, and I'll get arguments stuck in my head the same way I might get a song stuck in my head, and it's repetitive and it's annoying and doesn't really go anywhere. But yeah. And I used to argue a lot more than I do now, but I used to seek out arguments, which was dumb and didn't really go anywhere. But now, if someone I know says something and I think it's wrong, if I know them well enough, I'll probably still argue with them. And I do so not to argue, but to come to a conclusion, so we both are on the same page, I guess, and so that we both may have learned something from it. I just need to know what's right. Anyway, so another thing is the assumption that we aren't, the assumption that we are unemotional, or depending on where you're at, the assumption that we're over emotional, because we're kind of very flip floppy, I guess. Like if an INTP gets really stressed out, they will be in the grip and they'll seem over emotional, and then on the opposite end, they will seem almost unemotional to other people, maybe. Especially if they're young, I guess. And they haven't had much practice, but like we have the tendency to the truth is we have the tendency to ignore or not notice how we feel until suddenly we aren't ignoring it, and then once we do recognize what we're feeling, we don't naturally understand what to do about it, and so it can cause a bit of panic, I guess, or at least a bit of awkwardness, and that's how that works. So we're not unemotional and we're not over emotional. We're just awkward with our emotions, I guess. What else? When I've been arguing with, and this hasn't been recent, but arguing with other people, and maybe I do this too, and some people actually are like this, but still, the assumption that I'm fixed in my position isn't true, especially now, because I'm willing to change my mind, and I have changed my mind quite a bit. But the truth is that you have to give me a good reason to do so. And I mean, it's easier when it's a new topic, and I'll change my mind all the time because I don't really know what I'm doing. And other INTPs should do this too, when they're healthy and their extroverted intuition is working the way it should, and they're not stuck in the stupid SI loop. But because the truth is, we value logic and understanding things more than we will value like an external goal. Like we're not, we don't value extroverted thinking, we value introverted thinking. Introverted thinking is all about understanding something in depth, and extroverted thinking is linear and it wants to get to a conclusion. Like for extroverted thinking, I assume that it's, from my understanding, it's a bunch of many separate conclusions, and they have to pick one, and so they pick one based off of, like, well, extroverted thinking is more linear, so it's not like a web like introverted thinking would be, but because of that, there's many different conclusions. They have to pick one to go with, and they do that, well, not by picking which one is necessarily the most logical reason, but sometimes it's whatever suits them, like whatever supports whatever other goal they have, like the goal that they want to reach. So introverted thinking doesn't work that way. And even when I've been arguing with extroverted thinkers who know stuff about Myers-Briggs, they don't seem to get this. And I mean, I also don't understand really how they think either, I guess. Or I do, and I still don't like it, but yeah. So I don't encounter that as often as I used to, because I don't get into so many arguments now, but it's still annoying when it happens. It's like, no, just keep talking. I'll change my mind if you give me a good reason to. Although other people tend to not give you that same courtesy, in my opinion. Also, I'm not an INFP. Surprise. I've had people tell me, and I've seen people do this to other INTPs, where they'll be like, oh, you're an INFP, not an INTP. And I mean, there are cases where that is true, but I think a lot of the times, this happens, and it's because they're noticing, and what I know is a mixture of like Myers-Briggs and socionic, so I might be wrong because I don't know either one specifically well. I know a mix, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but the eighth function, from what I've read and what I've heard, is how we initially present ourselves to other people, and it's what they initially notice about us. So for INTPs, that's introverted feeling, and so that's what people might notice first, and that's why this misunderstanding might happen. And then, like, once you get to know someone more, their eighth function, like, you realize that they don't actually value that as much as they initially appeared to value it, if that makes any sense. So yeah. And I kind of think this is why there's a lot more INFPs who mistake themselves for INTPs than the other way around. Because, well, their eighth function is introverted thinking, and, well, because they're INFPs, I think they're more self-aware than an INTP would be. So they probably would notice, maybe without even reading about it, they would notice themselves using their eighth function when they talk to other people, and that might lead them to think, well, which one am I? Am I an INTP or an INFP? And that might cause the initial confusion. So, yeah. I think that's all I have to talk about today. So yeah.